We're already 3 weeks into the new year, and aside from a few rumours, we have no idea as to the upcoming production schedule for many live-action projects. The other day I covered a massive tease by Maria Sandoval, someone who's worked in hair and makeup on the Ahsoka show, Mando, and Book of Boba Fett. But today we have another curious tidbit by someone in front of the camera who we know quite well, Woves actor Simon Kassianides. He posted a selfie on Instagram in costume as the Night Owl Woves, one day after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie was announced. This could mean anything, from messing around during his time on set in Season 3, or just having fun at home, to something more serious like a new costume fitting, or a screen test for either Season 4 or Jon Favreau's film. 2 teases in the same week have gotten fans curious if pre-production is going to start pretty soon, which was rumoured. The only thing about his post that seemingly doesn't match up is that the selfie was taken in Hawaii, a filming location Lucasfilm has not been using for Mando so far. It's hard to know if this post was just innocent, sharing excitement that he knows he's going to be back, or if it's signalling the start of filming on Season 4. If it does mean something important, then this confirms our suspicions that we are returning to Mandalore, Bo-Katan, the Night Owls, all of the United Tribes, and this could play into Dathomir, which is right next door, and what Thrawn is about to unload in the form of that cargo on the galaxy. The Mandalorians on their home world are going to be the first to know. In other Mandalorian updates, did you know Pedro Pascal was the secret mastermind behind the Mandalorian and Grogu movie announcement? Well, not exactly, but an old interview has resurfaced, and he seems to have been the one who called it in an interview with Fandango in September of 2022. It is no secret Pedro Pascal has been wishing for the Mandalorian to transition to the big screen ever since the show started. But in 2022, he began being a bit more vocal about this wish. In the conversation in question, the host put forward a question if they ever considered ending the Mandalorian series with a movie, and the actor interjected this: "Yes, he wants to, and that's a great idea, and if it isn't a conversation already, then it will be after today." This quote has been resurfacing a year and a half later. It's unknown if Jon Favreau at the time had any idea he was going to be making a Mandalorian and Grogu film, and we also don't know if Pascal's response triggered these conversations or were inspired by conversations. In either case, it signals to me that Pedro Pascal's wish of the Mandalorian coming to the big screen means he might prioritize being involved as more than just the voice. He did say for Season 4, he's just going to be a voice again. He wasn't on set for Season 3 at all. That may be the case for the 4th season, but I can't imagine him passing up the opportunity of playing Din Djarin, or the face of Din Djarin, under the helmet for a big screen cinematic production. He is ultimately the face of the character. And considering the title The Mandalorian and Grogu, I would not be the least bit surprised if we get some more introspection into the character, and maybe more of those flashbacks we saw in Season 1, with Bernard Bullen, the father, his mum, and young Din Djarin as well. And I've made videos before talking about how the creed has changed, now that Mandalore is reunited, now that Bo-Katan walks both ways. And yes, Din Djarin was redeemed in the living waters, but things might be different for Mandalore. And once again, as we saw in Season 2, there might be emergency situations where Din Djarin has to remove the helmet and he doesn't have a choice. We know how busy Pedro Pascal is, but this is not just another season of the Disney Plus show. This is taking The Mandalorian to a much more elevated position in pop culture, the next big Star Wars movie out in theatres. And so moving on, believe it or not, we do have even more Mando news. Katee Sackhoff sat down with Sam Witwer on a podcast, blah blah blah, and there were a few Star Wars tidbits worth talking about. Sam Witwer talked about Dave Filoni, the creative process on Rebels, the Clone Wars, and Katee Sackhoff chimed in with her experiences on those shows, because she of course voiced the character of Bo-Katan before playing her in live action, and then she revealed the fast-paced, intense nature of The Mandalorian and what it's like filming. Sharing a pretty funny anecdote, she said this to prove her point: "There was a moment in the middle of filming, and you can't stop, and we couldn't get Bo's helmet on my head with the wig, because the helmet was made to fit my head, not Bo's head, not the wig. And when you put on the wig, it adds a lot of space between my helmet and my head. So we're like, what are we gonna do? This doesn't fit. We need this shot." And then Dave literally goes, "Somebody made my wife, Anne Convery, a helmet. It's up in my office right now. I think that it's an empty dome. Let me go get it." And they went to get it, and they used it in the shot, and CG'd Bo's helmet over it. That is a pretty hilarious but also interesting and creative way to go about such a difficult situation, where you've got to improvise on the spot. There's a lot to film, and they have very little time to do it in. Katee Sackhoff reveals they had to take every opportunity they could to ensure when they're filming Mando, no time is wasted, she was there on set, they were gonna get that shot, and they did. Because I can't think of a single time I've heard anyone point out a shot in season 3 where you can pause it and say, look, Bo-Katan's helmet isn't real. That didn't happen. So they made it work, and that's really all that matters. Katee also talks about how she knew before filming season 3, after having seen the scripts, there were gonna be Star Wars fans enraged at the amount of screen time she was getting. She said this, I was so intimidated by the amount of work I had, and the amount of story they had given me, and the faith they had in me. John and Dave held my hand throughout the season. I got pep talks all the time. Favreau said, you were right for this role the moment we hired you. Just do what you do as Bo. You know this character better than anyone. Just do that. He believed in me so much, and I leaned in on that multiple times, because there were times my mind would start to run, and I would believe what people were saying. But Katee has the right attitude, and came to the conclusion, you're not going to win them all. I'm a huge fan of Bo-Katan. I know in universe, her actions in the past have been questionable. Star Wars fans have been debating the ethics and morality of the character for years. This is nothing new, but in terms of how she is portrayed in live action, Katee was the logical choice, and now that a great portion of her story and the restoration has been told, I'm excited for what's next, the role she's going to play as a United Mandalore. No Darksaber, hopefully no division, and how her arc is going to play into Din, the Armourer, and other characters we know and love as well. And so finally, my dear friends, I came across an interesting fan theory that I think is absolutely worth sharing. While we're on the subject of the Mandalorian and Grogu, let's focus on the little green guy, Grogu himself. Formerly known as Baby Yoda. Someone has pointed out there is a way that Baby Yoda can still become official Star Wars canon, as a nickname, thanks to one character from Rebels and the Ahsoka show, Ezra Bridger, a Jedi, who I'm sure at some point is going to come across Grogu. The theory goes like this, because Ezra met Yoda twice, in Star Wars Rebels, courtesy of the Force, when Ezra lays eyes on Grogu for the first time, it seems in his nature, and is his sort of sense of humour, to give him the nickname Baby Yoda. And this could be a tongue-in-cheek way Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau provide a meta-reference and a pretty funny joke that harkens back to a time we didn't know the name of the child. The two characters meeting would be a fascinating feat. But share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below, guys. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.